Okay, for this next step, we have all of the lines and circles laid out on the face and an edge. I have all of my corners chamfered to a 45-degree angle. The next step that we want to do is cut the lines that do not have circles to make our tic-tac-toe grid. Just be very clear. If it has a circle on it, do not cut it. So I want to cut the little box around that center circle here. I'm gonna cut here. I'm gonna cut here and here. So again, we have the circle in the center, the 4 lines directly around it. We want to cut. They do not have any circles on them. Okay. This setup. This is a miter saw. This is the hand version of the miter saw that we're trimming your blocks with, the teacher saw. So, first of all, miter saw is called a miter saw because we can change the angle at which we cut. For this, we're just cutting 90-degree angles. There's 2 clamps holding down the entire apparatus. Please do not remove them. I'm going to set this under the blade on top of one of my lines that I need to cut. And I'm going to use a quick clamp. That's the actual Irwin quick clamp, brand name. Couple handles here. This little tiny handle is the quick release. By using that, you can quickly slide this, hence the name quick clamp. This handle, the pistol grip handle here, is what really tightens it down. So what I'm going to do, and for anyone that's right-handed, keep the longer side out to the left at all times. For anyone that's left-handed, keep the longer side out to the right at all times. So I'm right on my line. I'm going to clamp this. I want to keep parallel to the edges here. Slide it forward, make sure it's lined up still, and pump this down so it's good and tight. I'm still on my line, so I'm good. If it pulls it up, down, or sideways, your clamp is not straight. Release it with the quick release, realign it, and tighten it up again. This is just to help hold this down. Okay? What we found is when we don't use that, people tend to have multiple lines instead of just one line. Even though this is here, I want you to hold down the wood. So when you're holding wood against a fence and a table, push back with your thumb and down with your fingers. And go ahead and cut parallel to the wood, or flat against the wood. For this cut, I want to go roughly between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch deep. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it down just a little bit farther. Here's a good way to tell. If you have an 1/8 of an inch chamfer, run to the bottom of the chamfer and that gives you an 1/8 of an inch deep. That's an easy way to tell. Check both sides to make sure you're the same depth. If not, sometimes people sweep this way too, where it's deep here, and it's shallow here. We want to try and keep that a nice even depth the whole way across. After that line, release this, remove it, spin this 90 degrees, and set it up on the next line with my mark. You don't need to mark it, and if you do mark it, please don't use pen. I'm doing that so you can see this easier. Trying to hold the saw and everything all at once makes it a little more difficult. So lined up, again, quick release, nice parallel to my ends in this case. Clamp this down. I'm still in line. I'll hold it down, make my cut. So this time I'm going with the grain of the wood, with the lines in the wood. This is actually a crosscut saw. It's going to feel a bit weird. It's not going to sound the same, and it's not going to feel the same. A lot of times people don't think it's cutting. It is. It just, like I said, because it's going with the grain, it's going to feel different. Same depth. We'll take it down that 1/8 of an inch. This saw does have capabilities to set a depth stop on it. I don't like to do that because not all the boards are always the exact same thickness, so you will want to keep a close eye on how deep you're going. And again, if you do a clean chamfer, that can make this very easy. So I'm not going to make you watch all 4 lines here, but what we should end up with is similar depth the whole way around. I'm glad this happened. Up here, the depth is not the same as back here. I need to fix that. So if something like that happens, put it back in here. Please be very careful to get back in the same line. I would still recommend clamping it and still holding. And since I wasn't as deep back here, I'm lifting this end out a bit so I can put more pressure in the back. And I'm going to cut that to the depth that I want. Sometimes there can be defects in the wood that cause it to be more difficult in some spots than others as well. So if you have a knot where a branch had grown out of the tree or anything like that, that could cause it to be a little more difficult than normal to cut. At this point, it's the depth I want, here, 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 and here. And I can look and see that that cross is the same depth. That's what we're looking for. At this point, I'd swing 90 degrees, cut on this line. After that, 90 degrees, cut on this line.